Boy, that little spinning I took forever. I was sitting here and it was just spinning and spinning. I wasn't sure it was ever going to connect, but we're here now and that's what matters. I want you to be honest with yourself. I want you to answer this question. No judgment from me, okay? But I want you to put it in the comments because I think this is an important part to this whole discussion we're going to have today. In a week, let's just go with a week. How much time are you spending creating graphics in Canva? That's what I want to know. How much time are you spending? And for those of you that like batch create content and you might be like, I don't spend any time in it this week because you did it last month. Okay, that's fine. In the week that you're actually creating graphics in Canva, how much time are you spending creating graphics? That's what I want to know. Get your fingers out. This is the interactive part. How much time are you spending creating graphics in Canva? Now, I want to say this up front. This is not a bash Canva. I love Canva. It is one of my most favorite tools. I find it to be very, it's like a creative outlet. I love it. It's just also a huge time suck. You know what I mean? Like I can easily get lost down the Canva hole and all of a sudden hours have gone by. Okay. So I want to know, be honest, how much time are you spending creating graphics in Canva? What's really going to, I don't know what the reaction is going to be. I actually am very interested to see what the reaction is as we get into some data here. But here's what I want you to understand as we get started. All those graphics that you're creating, those pretty, beautiful, lovely graphics, they're actually hurting you. And on that note, I'm going to let you think more about this, at least while we run this little intro. All right. So before the break, I asked, how much time are you spending in Canva? Such interesting answers here. So Nicole says 5 to 10 minutes, making quick ones here or there. I don't rely on them often, but I mix them in. Nice. I like that. Okay. This person says a lot of time, but I don't use the actual graphics in Canva. I make my own. Okay. Awesome. I like it. Michelle says, I keep being encouraged to make graphics, but I've resisted. Oh, now I'm curious. Where is the resistance coming from? Let's see if we get you some answers today on whether or not that resistance is a good thing or not. I like Procreate. I suspect I know who this is. By the way, while we're sitting here, if you are showing up like this, Facebook user, or it says Facebook user, it's because you haven't given StreamYard access to see your name in Facebook. So all you got to do, I'll put this up on screen, is you just go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you click on a button, and then magically your name will appear. If you want to stay hidden and private, that's totally cool. Just know that I won't know who you are. Okay. So let's go back to what we're talking about here. In this video, we are going to talk a lot about Canva graphics, but it's less about the graphics themselves. And what it's more about is why it is important for you to vary your content, to mix it up. It's kind of like what Nicole was saying. And again, Michelle with the resistance, there's probably, I'm guessing your spidey senses were maybe tingling here on, maybe this isn't exactly the best choice. And that's what we're going to explore that today. And I'm going to give you some options and some alternatives to think about. Okay. If you are new to me, hi, my name is Jamie Hain. I am a video and growth coach. I specialize a lot on Facebook groups. And so you're probably sitting here thinking, why is she talking about graphics? Okay, here's why. I have spent some time recently exploring some data. And I have to say, I was digging into it for something completely different. I was actually digging into data to look at numbers around live videos and all of that. And I found this like gem piece of data around the ranking of reach between the different types of posts that we do in social media. And I was like, holy cow. So I want to ask you a question first. Do you see a difference in the engagement that you get in different types of posts that you do, whether it's in your group or on your personal profile? Can you say, I get more engagement with this type of post, or I get less engagement with that type of post? Drop some comments and let me know what it is that you're seeing before those. Okay. Juno asked if I can see here. I can. Yay. Perfect. Okay. So let me know when you are posting in social media, have you noticed your own trend between one type of post and another? So for example, do you see more engagement on photos versus text, or color block versus lives, or whatever else it is? Okay, so she says more with graphics that ask questions. Yes, when you ask questions, you're actually giving them something to react with. An authentic content wins always. Yes, love it. Love that you guys are thinking broader than the actual post type itself. Okay, so let me show you some data. And by the way, I pulled this. I originally found the piece of data. It was Sprout Social, and it was back from like 2021, I think it was. So I was like, I need more recent one, and I couldn't find a recent that gave me all of the same data. So I had to go into HubSpot and kind of pull some different things. So it's kind of a blend of data. But we're going to do a little bit of a reveal today, okay? So play along with me, have some fun with me. What do you think is the top of this list? What do you think is the best type of content that is going to get the most engagement, the most number of comments and interactions of anything you could possibly do on social media? What do you suspect is at the top of this list? I'll give you a hint. Live video is at the very tippy top, which shouldn't surprise you, right? I've talked about it a lot. Live video gets 10 times the reach of any other kind of post, because there is an interaction. There is an engagement. Yep, you guys got it. Video, video, video. You got it. Okay. I will give you the next one too. Underneath live video is pre-recorded video. Okay. The data tells us that live video is 6 times more than pre-recorded. And pre-recorded is still higher than everything else. Okay. So knowing that, now we're going to get into the actual post content, which is what we're talking about here. So outside of video, what do you suppose is in this top spot? What do you suppose is in this very first tippy top type of post? I'm going to wait for your guesses because this is fun for me. What do we think is the top spot? According to, now keep in mind that you may have different experiences, right? You may have different experiences, that this is averages. So this is everybody that's on Facebook, what they're seeing in terms of a trend. What do you suppose is at the top? No guesses. No guesses coming in. Nobody wants to guess, or you're just not sure. Photos. Yep, Nicole's got it. Photos, 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 photos. Especially, oops, y'all moved on me here. Especially photos with you in it. People photos. It doesn't just have to be it could be you off to the side, somewhere where there's a face. Faces get more engagement, but photos are at the top. Of all the post type, photos are at the top. Okay. Yep, you got it. Michelle says, with pictures. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Stories. Stories didn't make this list. I'm guessing because I was specifically looking at post types and that was something else. So I'm guessing that was probably why it didn't show up in this study. But I think you're probably right. Stories are probably up there for sure. For sure. Okay. What do you suppose is next after photos? It's one of my favorites. No guesses. It's the delay. I hate waiting for the delay, but this is so fun. I hope it's fun for you and not just annoying. Okay. Color block posts. Okay. What am I talking about for color block posts? Michelle's got it. Nice job, Michelle. Woo! Yes. Color block posts. Okay. Color block post, just in case everybody's like, what the heck is she talking about? Let me give you an example here. I'm just going to pull up my phone because it's faster than trying to do a screen share. Let's see if I can get there fast enough here. Of course, I can't find one here. Hold on. A color block post is something like this. It's a color block. That's the whole post. There's no text or anything. It's just color block with some text in the middle. Usually it asks a question. Let's see if I can find one that's more question related. A lot of these are promo because I'm promoting my next thing. So my feed is filled with those, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. It's a color, like a solid red block or purple block or pink block. And there's a question in there that people answer. Okay. That's what's next under photos. Now I would argue, I see more with this than photos. So I think these are probably neck and neck at the top in my opinion. Okay, so somebody else guessed quote, an original quote. Okay, here's what I would say about that. If it's an original quote that's in a color block, you are exactly right. If it is a quote that you put inside of a graphic, no. We'll come back to that. We're going to specifically talk about quotes here in a minute. Okay. What do you suppose is next? This one I have to admit, I can see why it averaged here, but I think this is probably more on the personal side than the professional side, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I'd love to know what you all think. So that was a little bit of a hint, but next up is GIFs and memes. So basically, I think of this as humorous stuff, funny stuff, right? Short GIFs, funny memes. I find personally, GIFs seem to be lower. I think that may be an outdated piece of information. 2 years ago, when this original study was published, I would agree. But lately, I have seen that tank. I don't know if anybody else has experience in that. I would love to know. Do you see when you use GIFs in your content as the main piece of content, not in a comment, but in your, I see that those are lower, but I'd love to know what you all think. Okay, after GIFs and memes, you're going to be so shocked at this one. This one's a shocker. The one that's next is a shocker. And I just want to point out while you're all guessing, we still haven't hit graphics yet, right? We're what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in, and we still have not seen graphics. Okay, Michelle says GIFs lower too. They used to be hot. They're just not anymore. And I think you're exactly right. It's the fun and the humor side of it, the fun or the humor side of it. Okay. Okay, Nicole, you're close. You're very close with this. Polls didn't show up in this study, but I think it's because it's looped into what this one is. And it is text post. Okay, so this is, there's no photo. There's nothing of color. It's just words. And I would think a poll is likely lumped into that because it's just text. You don't have any images, right? So this is actual text that you read, different than a color block. This is just black text on a white screen. Isn't that crazy that that's up there? I'm not surprised though. I will tell you, especially on my personal profile, I see this one getting a lot more. Okay, you guys had, let's see some guesses you had. Shares, we're going to talk about that. I'm telling you, it's not in the top. It's at the bottom here. You can do polls on your page. If it's a business page, you can't do it on your profile, even if you have it set up as pro. You thought images boosted it. Yeah, images do. Photos, if they're photos, there's a difference between a photo and a graphic. Okay, different. Okay, I love this. Okay, I missed one in here. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Okay, what do you suppose is next after text? What do you think it is? We got 2 left. So fun. This is where your graphics come in, near the bottom. There's only one worse than graphics in terms of reach. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, look how low that is on this list. Shocking, isn't it? Okay, what do you suppose the last one is? Somebody said it. Somebody guessed it earlier. Anything with a link is the bottom. That's a URL. That's a share. Because even though you're sharing a link. You may not recognize that that's what you're doing, but it is a shared link. That gets to the bottom. So the only thing that gets lower reach than a graphic that you created in Canva or Procreate or wherever else is something that has a link in it. Is that not shocked? Who's shocked by this? Are you shocked by this list? I want to know what are you feeling about this? What emotion comes to mind when you think about this list? This is just overall Facebook. So it probably is blending pages and groups together. Okay, so she says the last one makes sense. Yeah, we all know this one, right? You put links in, it's going to tank. But this one, now I will tell you, once I saw this, it did help me make it make sense. Like in my brain, I went, okay, yeah, I'm kind of seeing that. Like if I'm being honest, I am seeing that some of my graphic posts do not get the same level of engagement as some of these other things. Shocking. Okay. Okay, yeah, sometimes I think that is true. You do see a difference because think about it like this. I'm just going to say profiling pages and groups, the intention is different. So you would think that the list would likely be different. And what you're probably going to look at is maybe some of these would switch around. But in general, what I'm trying to get you to understand is this is just, it's real data. I did pull it from somebody else. But I'm wanting you to use it to make decisions. We're going to talk about that in a second, okay? Gotta do more live videos. Yes. Yes. Now, but here's the thing. Not every day. Don't go out and start doing 5 live videos every day. Why would I say that? Here I am, the video coach. Why would I say don't go out and start doing 5 more videos? Why would I say that? It's relevant to the discussion that we're going to have today. It's relevant. Okay, while you're thinking about that, I want to ask you another question. How does knowing this make you change your mind about how much time you are spending creating graphics in Canva or Procreate or wherever else it is? How does this change your mind? Okay, going back to the lives. Yes, burnout. If you are going live multiple times in a row, every single day, it starts to become too repetitious. And that actual answer is the truth about any of this. Okay, here's what can happen. You can look at this and be like, well, then I'm going to go live every day, 5 days a week. It's not going to have the same effect. You need a mix. You need a variety of all of these things. What you have to do is change your perspective, your expectations on the results that you get. Because the reality is you need a mix. You need content variety. If you do any one thing over and over and over again, yeah, it starts to become blah, 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 blah. It's too much. Okay. So if you're using a whole bunch of Canva graphics day after day after day after day after day, you're experiencing this same burnout that we're talking about on lives, but it's with Canva graphics. You've got to mix it up. You got to mix it up. Yeah. And this is a great point. Not only are you going to get burned, they're going to get burned out. You're going to get burned out. Nobody can go live. I always tell people, every once in a while, somebody will say, I'm going to do a 365 go live every day challenge. And I think, no, you're going to burn out and so will they. So will they. Be strategic, be more intentional, actually have a strategy to what you're using when you're using it, because each of these is going to get a different amount of reach and they're going to engage different people in different ways. All right, let me see if I missed anything here. Okay, here's a question. What if I put a face in a graphic? Okay, I would guess that a face in a graphic is going to be higher up, but it is not as high up as if you just post a photo without text. I know it's hard to wrap your head around. But the reality is I think we have graphic fatigue. That's what I'm going to call it. We went through this phase, and maybe it was with the boom of Canva, but everybody's doing graphics and it's so fun and it's so creative and it's all of that, that we get to the point where it's so much, we don't see them anymore. And so a photo without all of the graphics is actually going to get you more engagement. Now, here's what I will tell you. The best answer here is try it. See. The next time you're thinking, okay, I'm going to post this graphic and I'm going to, so what if I just didn't do the graphic and I just posted the photo by itself with my text above? Is that going to get me more engagement? Try it. See. Do a little bit of A/B testing and see what goes on. See what helps. Okay, can you edit the photo and it still be considered a photo? It depends on where you're editing it. Because the minute you pull it into Canva, and you change it and then you download it, it is a different file type. It's seen as something different than if you just edit it on your phone using the built-in apps on your phone. Again, test it. See what kind of results you get. See the distinction. But somebody said it earlier. Often it depends on what copy, what description, what words you're posting with the item. And the more questions you ask, the more people are going to respond to that question. Oftentimes when I go and do Facebook group audits, I see that there's a lot of telling and not a lot of asking. And so if you're not asking, you're not building up the community aspect of a group. That's very different than what you see on your personal profile. So again, differences between the two. Okay. So what do we do about this? Like, this is great information, shocking data, all of that. What is the so what, Jamie? What should I be doing? So we already talked about it. Mix it up. Mix up the different types of options in a week. So on Mondays, you do a photo. On Tuesdays, you do a color block. On Wednesdays, you do text. Mix those things up. If there are things on here that you don't like to do, guess what? You don't have to do them. You get to decide what type of post works best for you, works best for your people. If you are somebody who, I was on a call inside my membership the other day, and somebody said, I keep being told not to post quotes. And I was like, stop. If you like quotes, if your audience likes posts, post the quotes. Nothing wrong with the quotes. But here's the key. Well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to come back to this quote because we're going to use it as an example. Okay. Okay. So what you're going to want to do here is simply swap. So if you are filling your group, I'm just going to use group for an example. This applies to a page and a profile as well, but I'm just going to stay consistent with group. If your group is full of graphics, especially if it's the same graphics over and over and over and over again, because you created it because it was easy. Every Monday is the same graphic. Every Tuesday is the same graphic. You're creating this burnout, this fatigue that we're talking about. And this is likely why your Facebook group is not as engaged as you want it. So what I would challenge you to do is make some swaps. Look at some of the graphics that you're currently posting in your group and say, how could I do this a different way? Don't swap them all out. Don't go away completely from graphics. Just change some of them up. So if you're posting 5 days a week and all 5 of those are graphics, on 2 of those days, maybe it's on Monday and Thursday, you pick, do something other than a graphic and just track and see what kind of a difference it makes in your engagement. Okay, just a swap. That's where you start. I'm not wanting you to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Make some swaps in there. Okay, so let's talk about this quote idea. My guess is that what many of you are doing is you're creating a graphic in Canva that has the quote, even if it's an original quote, either or. Okay, but it's still a graphic. But here's the thing I want to call out. That wouldn't be the one I would swap. Because what's so important about sharing that graphic with that quote is not the quote. It's your talk track around it. So last week, I think it was last week, we talked about you want to balance engagement with being an authority. Might have been 2 weeks ago. Inside your group, you want both. You want posts that drive engagement, but you also want posts that set you up as the authority and the expert that you are. So if we specifically take a graphic that has a quote, you being an authority on something is going to be the most important part of that. It's your spin on that quote, what you think, how that quote ties in with your niche, what your perspective is. That's what's important. And that goes in the description with the graphic. You can't do it any other way. You don't have enough room in a color block post. Okay. You could maybe try doing it as a text, but there's not that much difference here between the two, right? So leave your graphic quote. If you love quotes, do quotes, but make sure you're not just the description with that graphic is not just love this quote. Isn't this great? Talk more, share more, give them of yourself. Be the expert on why that quote helps you in the space that you're an expert in. So I wouldn't mess with the quotes. What I do is figure out something else that's in my weekly plan and say, which one of these can I not do a graphic on? And instead I can do a color block post, or instead I can do a photo. Okay, so let's brainstorm some examples. I want you all to share some graphics that you are currently doing in your group, and we'll swap them. We'll do a little bit of, we'll kind of create some of these ourselves. But here's the example that I'll get you started with. If you have something that you regularly share once a week, and it's maybe some sort of prompt, maybe it's a journal prompt, maybe it's for me, it's a go live prompt. Right now, it's a graphic for me. And it is going nowhere. It gets 0 engagement. I've been doing it for months, and it just falls flat. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to make a swap. So rather than having that as a graphic, I'm going to put it as a color block. And I'm just going to run with that for 3 or 4 weeks and see if that doesn't create a little bit more engagement on the same thing. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about swaps. Okay. Let me see if you guys got some questions in here. I love it. All right, hold on. Okay, here's the question. Oh, this is one of those questions that's going to get so deep because the answer is yes. Facebook is coding those algorithms because of human interest. Their mission, if you think about what Facebook's mission is they, I should have pulled it up. I don't have it. You can actually Google what's Facebook's mission, but they are all about serving up quality content. So how do you measure quality content? Quality content is measured based on engagement, according to the Facebook algorithm, okay? So there's a connection between human interest and the algorithm. So the algorithm isn't just, I mean, there are some exceptions where I'm sure Facebook is coding that algorithm because they're wanting to drive more ads. Or, I mean, they're a business. Let's be real. It is what it is. But the bulk of it is driven by what do people want? What do people want? Because people want more live video, that's why all the platforms have come out and said, we're prioritizing live video. Because people want, and anything in here, even like I think earlier we were talking about stories, right? Oftentimes stories are videos. That's likely why it's going so well. Reels, it all kind of fits into this pre-recorded space. It's still video, and we want more video. I mean, when was the last time you purchased something that was, assembly required and you went, oh, please give me a 75-page manual instruction? No, you hope there's a QR code that leads you to a video on YouTube so you can know how to put it together. We want more videos. That's the human interest part, right? Photos, they work because we as people, we like seeing other people. There's a recognition there. So that's why they do better than some of the other things. Good question. Okay, let's see what else you got here. Themed days. Okay, yes, that's exactly it. This is what we talked about last week. Theme days are also hurting you. So if you missed the video last week, go back and watch it. If you need the link, just say I need the link to the themed, and I'll give it to you. Yes, that is exactly why. It is repetitive. It is boring. It is a graphic. It is same. It's that burnout thing that we're talking about. So you need to mix those up for sure. You can start by just making a swap like I'm doing, right? I have a graphic today that goes out every Monday in my group that is a go live topic prompt. And it doesn't get any engagement. I'm going to switch it up. I'm still going to do it. I'm just going to do it in a different way and see if that tracks better. Okay? That's what we're talking about. So before you again, I said this earlier, I'm not sitting here saying you should scrap everything and have a whole new plan. I'm saying start with some swaps, see what works for you. What works in your group is different than what works in my group. It's also about your preference versus your audience, which is different than mine. So it's like this wonderful experiment that we get to play with. And I know it can be frustrating and I know it can be aggravating, but sometimes if you just tell yourself, I'm learning, this is fun, that perspective change makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Okay. I think the only graphics in my group are the profile. But awesome. See? There you go. I love it. Now, does that mean that graphics have no place? There are some occasions. It does work. I don't want you to walk away from this video and be like, Jamie said, never any more graphics. What Jamie is saying is you still need graphics. You just don't need it every week, every day of every week. The whole point here is mix up this variety. Mix it up. The other thing that you want to consider, especially in a group, is different people have different preferences. Let's do a little experiment here. Everybody put in chat or comments, what is your favorite type of post? Your favorite, not for you to create, but for you to engage on. When you're just sitting on your comfy chair at the end of the night or you're laying in bed, what types of posts do you stop your scroll on? What types of posts do you stop your scroll on? My guess is how many people we got live? We have 13 people on with us live. We're going to get 13 different answers. Well, maybe not because we don't have enough, but we're going to get a variety of answers. Some of you are going to say live video. Some of you are going to say photos. Some of you are going to say color blocks. Some of you are going to say text. I love the long text. Other people are going to say, oh, I hate the long text. This is why you need variety, because your audience is also varied. This is why you need repetition. Right? You don't just post it once this way and be like, well, that didn't go over well, so I'm never going to ever post it again. No, post it in a different way, because different people in your audience need to see things in different ways. See, look at this. I hate the long text. Does anybody love the long text? Some people love it. I depending on the writer, depending on the person, there are some long texts that if I see there's certain people on my personal profile, if I see that they have a post, I'm reading it, because it's either going to make me laugh, it's going to give me some insights, it's going to be awesome. But then there are others where I go, oh no, I'm not going to read that one, because I know it's just not for me. That's the variety that we as people bring to this whole equation. Okay. Steph. It's specifically me. You're my favorite right now. Okay. Like, love watching reels, hate making them. I am the same way, Nicole. I am the same way. Watching reels is my last thing I do every night before bed. It makes me laugh. It unwinds me. It takes my mind off it. I don't know when the last time it was that I created a reel. So I feel you there. Okay. Funny photos. questions that I can answer, photos, love it. Love it. Text quotes mixed in with personal videos. Yeah, it's a variety of things that we get bored easily, right? So we need some of these different things. Okay. Yes, this is going back to the long text posts. The layout matters, right? It's the how many spaces and not so many emojis, and like you got all sorts of things that go into that. See? I have a friend who's hilarious, and I'll read the whole thing. And you read every single one of them, right? Because they're so good. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. What is the bottom line to all of this? That's what I want to ask for you. My question for you is this. What one thing are you going to do different as a result of this? What one change you're going to make? I don't want you to go out and make a gazillion changes because then you can't test what works and what doesn't. I want you to make one swap. Start with one swap that you're going to make. Tell us what it is, put it in the comments so you can hold yourself to it. It also just makes it more real. It's one thing if you're thinking about all of this and you've consumed all this content, but let's actually apply it. What action are you going to take? What are you going to do different? Okay, while you're thinking about that, I want to take 30 seconds and I want to talk about my new offer, which is called Spark Your Social Strategy. And it is all about figuring out the strategy that goes behind all of this. We're not going to necessarily talk about graphics. We're not going to talk about the post. We're going to talk about how you have a roadmap that helps you know what you're posting. Okay. The best analogy that I can give you is this. And this really gets down to there is a preference. In fact, let's do this real quick. Let me ask you another poll question here. How many of you batch create your content? Just type the word batch. And then how many of you wait for inspiration on the day and you post about that? So the difference, the words I want you to write is batch, or I want you to write, let's see here, daily, batch or daily. Put it in the comments. I'm curious to see how many differences we have here. But here's what I want you to realize. Regardless of whether you batch create or you want to be in the moment, you still need a strategy. You still need a social media strategy. Think about it like this. Would you go on vacation without a plan? Would you go up to the ticket counter at the airline and say, book me a plane ticket to, I don't care, anywhere, just anywhere? No, because you have to at least know what to pack. You have to know where you're going, right? Now, granted, when you go on vacation, my guess is those of you that say daily versus batch, you have a different definition of vacation as well. Do you plan out every single thing that you're going to do on vacation, every single place you're going to eat, every single activity you're going to do? Or do you go, no, I want to wake up every morning and go, what are we going to do today? You know what? We're going to lay by the pool and do nothing. That's the difference between planners and those that need to be more in flow, need to be more intuitive. Regardless, you still need a strategy. Because that's the way that you connect everything. The way that you have some consistency and connection. And that's what leads to selling your products and your offers. Anyway, this whole program, Spark Your Social Strategy, is all about helping you figure out the strategy that leads to what is the post variation that I'm doing? How am I mixing all of this up? How am I pulling this all together? So this program is not only about learning the strategy, you're actually going to do it. We're going to do it together. We're going to plan out a whole month. We're actually going to plan out all 12 months, but we're going to get detailed on, I don't know why I'm pointing to this. We're going to get this level detail for at least a week, maybe the whole month. Okay. If that's of interest to you, drop me a comment. I'll make sure you have the link. You can just say Spark, give me the Spark, send me the Spark. What you get creative, you do whatever you want. And I'll send you the landing page so you can check it out. We start in April. There's 3 different ways that you can do it. That was way longer than 30 seconds. Sorry, you guys. I got all carried away talking about vacations. Okay. Any questions about Spark, let me know. If you have questions about this Canva stuff, any of these different post types, this whole replacing, that's what this is for. Drop them below. I'll come back and I'll answer all of them. I don't see any comments coming in. Look at this. I am so surprised. Lots of dailies. Interesting. A little bit of both, but some dailies. So interesting. Trying to do more batch. Okay. Here's the cool thing that I will say about batching. Batching is more about creating all of that content. You can have a strategy and know where you're going. It's kind of like that vacation. All right. If you plan a vacation, you know where you're going, you know how you're going to get there, and probably where you're staying. You plan that. But then the rest of the vacation, you're just like, I'm just going to see what happens and how I feel like it today. That's what I'm wanting you to do with your social media. Even if you are a daily poster, a daily creative thinker, you can still have a strategy that maps out where you're going. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So you all shared, or hopefully by now you've shared what you're going to do different as a result of this. I cannot wait to see what you all comment. I'll go back and look at all of those. Here's the most important thing that I want to make sure that you get out of this today. I think sometimes we can get caught up spending lots of time, and I'm talking about myself here, making a graphic look pretty. Pretty doesn't do it anymore. It's going to be more about what works. And what works is going to be variant based on you, your audience, your group, what you're trying to achieve, what your strategy is. But I think we are moving in this direction. And somebody told me the other day that there's this real thing that's called social media fatigue, that we are just getting burnt out on social media in general. And I think as a result of that, just overarching burnout of social media is we're looking for something different. And oftentimes it's these other things that make it different. Okay. So what I'm wanting you to understand, or like the big bottom line thing I'm wanting you to take away from this is, not only by not using all of those Canva graphics, are you saving some time, you're also getting more engagement. You're also getting more variety. And that's the win-win. All right, everybody. See you next time. Bye, guys.